My dear viewer, welcome to my kitchen. This is Chef Osama, and now it's time to do our first course. And one of the things that we like is the cheese. And the problem is we like different type of cheese, and we always end up by having different types that's left over, and we don't know what to do with. So either because it got a little bit dry, or because the last piece I couldn't slice it, or the slice even stick to each other. So that doesn't mean that we'll discard that or we'll throw it away, especially that cheese is kind of expensive thing that we use. So we're gonna do a nice vegetable cheese pie, and that's how we'll do that's one of the way of utilization of and utilizing our ingredients that we have in the kitchen. Now we'll get all these little pieces of the cheese and we'll put them in a food processor. Again, if this is very nice recipe, I can always buy cheese just to do these things, but it would prefer if you do have different type of cheese. All what you get to consider what you have, is it semi-soft or hard or soft, and one that has spices, or it has salt or even season. So I just be sure that the whole combination, it will just blend together, and I can balance it accordingly. So first what I will do here, I will have this in the food processor, and if I have plain cheese, what I can do, I can add a little bit of fresh herb with it. Now I'll blend this and I'll leave it until it's got kind of grind. I will grind first, just put it in pause a couple times, and after that I can add the rest of the ingredients, which will be some vegetable. And here is our vegetable. What we'll have artichoke. It can be frozen, it can be fresh, and we'll use carrot, and we'll use pepper. It can be yellow or red, and onion, and we can substitute that with any kind with vegetable. Same thing as we said about the cheese, we can use something different. Now what we'll have here, we'll have the pepper that's been cut. It doesn't have to be yellow, but because of the ingredients that I have in this cheese, I will save this for later on, and I'll use just only half of it. And I'll take onion, I'll cut it into small pieces. And the reason that I use sweet items like pepper, which is kind of sweet, the red and the yellow, and the carrot, it's just because of the cheese that I have is kind of spicy and has herb. So I'll cut the pepper, cut it into like julienne, after I did the same thing with the onion. And I'll do the same thing with the red pepper. I'll cut all this into strips or into julienne, and I'll do the same thing with the carrot. And this will be like a base cut after I cut it into half, and I cut it into a little bit smaller piece, because this it's raw, so it might take a little bit longer. While the mushroom it's frozen, I'll cut all this almost the same size, and after I cut all this, I'm gonna mix them together with a little bit of since I'm gonna use milk and cheese together, so I'm gonna use butter rather than using oil to saute all this. So I'll put a little bit of either melted or clarified butter, or just some butter. And since the whole thing is dirty, I might as well not use oil and just use a little bit of that. I add all these ingredients or all this vegetable. I'm not going to really cook it in there. I'm just going to get it wilted, because this will be combined with the rest of the remaining ingredients that I have with the cheese, and then I'll bake it in the oven. So here I will just add my last piece of onion after I have it chopped. I'll add it there, and if I have any fresh herb, especially like thyme or so, I can sprinkle some on the top, or if I don't have, I can use the dried one. I'll put salt and pepper, and again always remember what did I have in the cheese. And I have some chopped garlic. I'll saute this, and I will just do what the term actually says, jumping, making the vegetable jump in the pan until all well mixed. And now I'll get if I need to season this mix of cheese, I can put a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. If I don't need, then I can add the eggs to it, and I'll just put a couple eggs in this batter that I have, and I'll add a little bit of cream. And again, it depends on what kind of cheese. If I didn't put enough of the mix of soft cheese, then I'll get it softened a little bit, so it doesn't get as dry. I'll mix it very well, and then I'll take this out, and then I'll bring the plates where I'm gonna mix all this. I'll just bring a bowl. I'll put my batter in there, just grab with the spatula, and then after that, by the time that this is my vegetable is being wilted a little bit, I'll put all this batter into the mixing bowl, and I will bring a pan. I'll bring a phyllo dough, and the phyllo dough has been used for baklava. I'll bring a pan which is like a spring pan or about 9-inch pan with 2.5-inch edges. I'll take one of the phyllo dough, one layer or one leaf, and I will just sprinkle that with I'll spray that with oil first, and then I'll just press on it a little bit. And if I have even small pieces that's been crumbed off this phyllo dough, I can use that always. And I'll sprinkle a little bit of butter on that, and I'll repeat the same thing, but I'll do on the opposite direction. So I have one this side, I have one the other side. So I'm creating like to keep going around. So this way I'm covering the whole thing with the phyllo dough, with the edges of the phyllo dough. So every time I'm repeating this, I'm putting a little bit of the butter, the sprinkled butter. Now I have all this vegetable that's been sauteed. I'll add it to my cheese mix, and then I will mix that very well. I'll be sure the whole thing will combine, and then I will add it to this, fill up this cake with it. I'll keep some of this vegetable, and then I'll put it on the top, which is gonna be my bottom later. It depends on how I'm gonna serve this. Then I will just close this like that, and I'm not going to close it completely, so I'm leaving this to be the top, so it's gonna be like an open face pie. And I'll put a little bit of the cheese or a little bit of the melted butter right on this phyllo dough, because that's what's going to be nice and crisp and will make it look like a flour. And this is not going to be take a long time. Maybe it will take about half an hour or so at 350-degree oven. And when I take it out, that's the way it will be. Look, I can get just the plate where I'm serving it at. I can have it, as you see, it's make nice crust. I don't need to buy a crust especially for that. And I'll take this, I'll put it on the plate where I'll be serving it, and I can be served just like this by itself, or I can have dressing. Even if I want to have like a vegetable or salad dressing, it goes along with that very well. Now I'll cut it into wedges like a cake, and that's what it will be for our first course. So if you have any fresh herb, you can use that, and you can decorate that. And this is again utilization of almost all the cheese and all the vegetable that we have in our refrigerator.